Hi everybody. Today I'm going to talk about Postgres. Two parts really. One is how to install it on a variety of machines, and the second is how to get started using it. It's kind of the stumbling block a lot of people have. The book really talks quite a lot about just how to use SQL in general, but not really how to get started, what are the basic commands of it. So I'm going to cover that in this video. One thing I should mention, and I've mentioned it before, is that you can develop your development environment can be whatever you want it to be. So you can develop natively on your Windows machine, on a Mac. You can use Cloud9. So there's lots of environments, and I am not going to show you how to install Postgres on all of these, particularly the Windows one. I'll show you how to install it on several environments, and then hopefully you can get started on your own with the others. Let's get started with Cloud9 here. So Cloud9 is a allows you to run virtual machines in the cloud. It's really kind of a nice thing to use. A lot of people, I would say about 80% perhaps of the people in the last few years of the class have been using it, and they've been pretty happy with it. But let me just show you how it works. So I've already created an account for myself, and after I can do that, I can create a new workspace. I'll call mine Postgres demo. And here I can say it's public. Here I can choose a template, kind of basically what kind of my development environment do I want. It doesn't matter for this Postgres demonstration, but I'll go ahead and select Node. And this takes a little bit of time. Okay, and here we are in the environment. So most of the time we see this, we're on the left panel here, we have kind of a directory structure. On the top panel here, we have an editing window. So if I click package.json here, it'll open it up, and it's just an editor, so I can use it whatever. And this is a terminal like you've used in other Linux environments. So if I can do an ls here, a print working directory, so it's just a terminal. So let me go ahead and start up Postgres. One good thing about Cloud9 is that Postgres is already installed, so you don't need to go through, it's not much of a hassle, but there's no hassle involved whatsoever. It's already there. You do need to start the server. And to do that, you execute sudo service Let me just make this window a little bigger here. And now the first time you do this, you need to create a password for the main Postgres account. So the root password for Postgres is Postgres. And let me go ahead and show you how to do that. So the user is going to be Postgres, and the program I want is okay, so now I'm in Postgres, and I'm going to create a password. So that's \password. And the user I want to create a password for is that Postgres user. And I'm going to put in a password. Okay, so now I can quit. That's \q, so I'm out of Postgres. And now from now on, when I want to log into Postgres, it's PSQL minus capital U for user. I'm logging in as the root Postgres account. And the host, that is where the server is running, it's just running locally. Sorry for my spelling. And now the password. So I'm in. So that's installing Postgres on Cloud9, and it's really similar for Vagrant. Let me jump to Google Compute Engine. So you're going to be using this, or many people in the class will be using Google when you're hosting your site. You can use whatever you want to use. I don't really care, but the instructions I give are related to Google. So if you can use DigitalOcean, Amazon services, your own server box sitting in the cloud somewhere, but I'm recommending well, the instructions I'm giving are for Google Cloud. You can use, again, whatever you want. So let me go ahead and create a new instance here, and I'm going to do that on the top here. It's similar. The idea is the same. I'm creating a virtual machine in the cloud, just like Cloud9 is. Let me go back to Cloud9 while that's doing something. The thing I should mention, which is unique to Cloud9, is sometimes when you're working, all of a sudden the database connections don't seem to be working. And what happens is, because of how Cloud9 is free, and in order to conserve costs on their end, they shut down your virtual machine if you're not using it, and that stops the Postgres server. So if that ever happens, you just execute that command again, which is sudo service PostgreSQL start. And that should do it. If you're curious if your machine's running, you can just do sudo service PostgreSQL status, and if it doesn't say online, then you know you need to start it. Let me go back to IBM here. All right, and it asks you to give a name. I can, let me just say Postgres instance here. Okay, and here's where I get to select where I want the machine to run. I don't remember where the data centers are exactly, but for you being on the East Coast, probably should choose US East. And the general rule, at least I was told, is that the bigger the letter alphabetically, the newer the machines are. So D would have newer machines than East B, perhaps. I'm going to go ahead and select one that's close to me. Let's say US West 1C. Here I can select what machine I want. I'm just going to use a micro instance because right now I'm running at $24.67 a month. Not bad. I'm not going to keep this up for very long. But for this demo, I just can use a micro one. $4.28 a month looks good. Now, I don't want Debian. I like Ubuntu, so I'm going to change this. And I'll pick the newest Ubuntu here and stick with a 10 gig hard drive. That's fine. And if I ever use this box in the future, this virtual machine in the future for node development, I want to allow HTTP, so I'll click those on. So that's it. So back to what I have selected. I've named my Postgres instance. I selected a zone, that is, which of the Google data centers do I want to use for my virtual machine. I say I'm going to have a micro instance running, $4.28 a month. I'm booting Ubuntu 17.04, and it looks all good. So I'm going to go ahead and create it. All right, so that looks like it's done. Over here, I can SSH into it. So I'm going to do that. Google doesn't have Postgres initially installed. I think you can get boxes that where it is installed, but I just am booting a general Ubuntu machine. All right, so now I'm booted up, and again, I'm in a Linux environment. I can do ls or print working directory, cat stuff, do vim, whatever I feel like doing. What I'm going to do is install, what I feel like doing is installing Postgres. So I'm going to update my package list, meaning that this is the list of all the different software packages that are available and I can install. So I might as well update those to get the most current version. And now I can actually get those Postgres packages, except I'm not typing here. Sorry. I'm a little laggy for some reason. So I'm going to install PostgreSQL. Come on. There we go. PostgreSQL client. And PostgreSQL, contrib. So I'm installing 3 packages. This is the Postgres server. This is the client, meaning when I want to type stuff in, interact with Postgres, this is what I'm going to be using. And PostgreSQL contrib are some extra packages that allow me to do stuff like encrypt passwords and things along those lines. So I'm going to install those packages. Okay, and now what I need to do, Postgres is started. It automatically starts when I install it, so I don't need to do that. And it's always going to be in the start. Well, there's might be rare conditions where it's down, but unlike Cloud9, the Postgres server will remain up. It'll even survive if you shut your machine down and start it up again. It'll restart Postgres. But what I need to do is set a password. So to do that, and this should be true for any Linux installation, like if you're working in Vagrant or if you're running Ubuntu on your laptop, this all should be the same. So I want to use the user Postgres. I want to start this program. This is the client program, PSQL, and I want to log into the database Postgres. Okay, now I'm in Postgres, and now again I'm going to set password of a user account. The account is the Postgres account. So exactly like how we did for Cloud9. Oop, and I misspelled Postgres. That doesn't help. Okay, now I can quit Postgres. That's \Q. Now I'm out of Postgres. And now I can, to get back into it, it's identical to how it was in Cloud9. It's PSQL, the client Postgres app, minus capital U for user. The user I'm logging in as is Postgres. That's the root account. The host I'm using is localhost. And now I'm in Postgres. And let me quit out of that. So those are the two installs. Now the one I'm more shaky on is installing it on a Mac, but let me go ahead and try it. I installed that quite a while ago and don't remember all the details. So let's see if I can remember how to do it. I can choose Mac here. I'm at postgresql.org. So if you're installing Windows, I would guess this would be a great place to start. The one I'm going to try is, let me find it here, this postgres.app, and that takes me here. It claims it's the easiest way to get started with PostgreSQL on the Mac, so I'm going to go ahead and download that. Gives you some pretty good instructions here. Let's see if they work well. Okay, and now I'm going to move my Postgres app to the applications folder. Bear with me, non-Mac users. This will be very short, and then I'll get to stuff that's pretty generic. All right, and while I'm waiting for that to happen, let me just continue here with this configuring path information. So it's asking me to make a directory, but let me just make sure I don't have that directory to begin with, which is okay, so I don't have it, so I can make that directory. Oop. There. Let me move this a tad. Whoops. Okay, so hopefully that works. Let me read the rest of the instructions. Okay, let me, it doesn't look like I have it up and running, so let me go ahead and launch it. Okay, and it told us to say initialize, so I'm going to go ahead and do that. You see that little elephant there now in the menu bar. All right, so let's go ahead and see if I can log into it. Okay, let me try to open up a new terminal window here. Make that bigger. Let me just see if it exists as a command. Yep, it does. Okay, and I logged in. Let me change the password for Postgres. Okay, so now everything's the same on all the systems I showed you, so I can log into Postgres by going PostgreSQL -u for user. Postgres is the main account. And now I'm in. I can list all the databases that exist on this server. There they are. There's one called Postgres, RAS, template, and so on. I can do that. Let me get here and show you that if I'm still logged in. Let me reconnect to my Google account. I just wanted to show that once you're logged in, the commands are all the same regardless of what system you are, if you're on a Mac, a Unix machine, or whatever. All right. You'll learn that pretty darn quickly. All right, so there I am in Postgres, and now I can create a directory, or a database rather, database. Let me call it Swift. I don't know. And the one error that's really common is, I'll illustrate right now. So I'm going to hit return here, and it looks like it probably worked and I created a database. But if I do a list here to see my databases, Swift is not among them. So I didn't create it. And what was missing is a semicolon. So once I put that semicolon in, I get that database created. So now when I do a list, you'll see that database is there. So I can change into that database, Swift. And now I can use whatever commands we learned in the book or whatever you're using as a resource for SQL. So I can create a table. Let's say I have breed, which is of type text, and name, which is a type text. So now I have a table in there. I can list tables by doing D, and that'll show me all the tables. If I want to know the structure of a table, I can just do \d and the name of the table. And that'll show me kind of the structure, that there's a column called breed, and it's of type text, name of type text. So \d by itself lists all the tables. \d and the name of a table will give you the information about that table. Let me go ahead and insert something in there. I'm going to do breed and name. Border Collie, let's say. Oops, missed a quote. Watson. And so it says I inserted one. Let me insert another by doing an up arrow in. Let's say I have a Border Collie Roper. And I can also do a select statement. So I'll select everything from pets. This didn't work because it's the common error of I'm missing a semicolon. Things need to end in semicolons. And there you get the information. So that's basically it, showing you on IBM, or sorry, on Google Cloud. Same holds true for Cloud9. I could go in there and create it, but let me go back to the Mac. And I'll do that by going here. So here I am in the Mac, and let's say my database is a little more complex than the pets one, and I think I may be making changes, or there's lots and lots of tables. So here I can bring up an editor. Whoop, I guess I already have reads. All right, that actually looks pretty reasonable, except for this part. I don't know where that came from. And let me just say, so I create a database, dogs. I change into that database, dogs. I guess I was illustrating the difference at one point. And now here I create a table called breeds. I have some column in that table called breed, one which is an integer called energy. Size is of type text. I guess I'm thinking here medium, small, large. Popularity is an int. Okay, and in Border Collie, let me make sure I have everything. 5. Medium. Popularity is the number. It's number 25. Let me insert a few others here. So I can continue with this insert statement by just having commas and inserting some more. Let's go with the Border Collie. Oh no, standard poodle. The next one was energy level. I'll say 2. Size, medium. Let me just save this so I can get it color coordinated here. And I'll just call it dogs SQL. And let me make this bigger too, so people can read it a little more. Okay, and let me just make it. Okay, medium and popularity. I don't know what these numbers mean. 12, let's say. And let's add another one here. Let's say Great Dane. Energy. I don't think it's very energetic. 1. It's large. Popularity 30. All right. Anyway, so there we have a database file which looks sort of correct. And I'm going to go ahead and save that one more time. And I'm going to get into my terminal here. Okay, and I'm not, let's see where I was. I think I was at my root place, so where I saved that file. So to read in a file, it's \I for insert, dogs.sql. And there you see that I created the database. It changed into this database. it created this table here and inserted 3 entries. So let me just do a select on that table. I forget what I called the table. Breeds, I guess. And let me do one more select. I'll just say select breed, just the name of the breed, from breeds where size equals medium. So I'm only interested in medium dogs. So that's sort of the basics of working with SQL using Postgres on a variety of machines. So I've covered listing all the databases on the server. I've covered getting a description of all the tables in a database. I've covered how to get information about what the format of a particular table is. I can get that in more detail by doing a plus after the D. And one thing I can do is I'm in the dogs, let me change out of this to the Postgres database. And now let me delete the entire database I just read in. So for that I say drop database, and I think it was dogs. And now I no longer have that database. So that's sort of the basics, and you can see that the commands, once you learn kind of how to get into it, and then the few different commands that are specific to PSQL, everything pretty much that you read about SQL will work here. So that's about it. I'm hoping that this is helpful to you and will get you started using Postgres.